Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. Club, Own Your Morning, Elevate Your Life. Chapter 4, Letting Go of Mediocrity and All That's Ordinary. Why? Sometimes I have believed as many as six impossible things before breakfast. Lewis Carroll Alice in Wonderland. You are a painter, right? The homeless man asked as he toyed with a loose button on his savvy shirt. Yeah, mumbled the artist, sort of the frustrated one. I am good, but not great. I have a lot of art at my flat in Zurich, said the homeless man, smiling indulgently. Bought a place right on the Van of Rastrace just before the prince skyrocketed. I have learned the importance of being around only the highest quality wherever I go. That's one of the best winning move I have made to create the life I have crafted. In my business, I only allow in top players because you can't have an A level company with a C level performers. We only release products that totally disrupt our markets and then absolutely change the field by how valuable they are. My enterprises only offer services that ethically enrich our clients, drivers, a breathtaking users experience and breed fanatical followers who couldn't imagine doing business with anyone else. And in my personal life, it's the same things. I only eat the best food, though I don't eat a lot of it. I only read the most original and thoughtful books. I spend my time in most light filled, light filled and inspiring of spaces and visit the most enchanting of places. And when it comes to relationship, I only surround myself with human beings who fuel my joy, stoke my peace, and excite me to become a better man. Life's way too valuable to hang with people who don't get you, who you just don't vibe with, who have different values and lower standards than you do, who have different mindsets, heart sets, health sets, and soul sets. It's a little miracle how powerfully and profoundly our influences and environments shapes our productivity as well as our impact. Interesting. Noted the entrepreneurs as she started at her phone. She does seem to know what he is talking about. She muttered softly to the artist, her eyes still down on the screen. The spider's wave of wrinkles on her faces relaxed further on one wrist dangled two immaculate silver bracelet. One bore the phrase turn icon into icons, while the other was engraved with done is better than perfect. The entrepreneurs had purchased these presents for herself when her company was in its startup phase and she'd been in the highly confident mode. I know about the mindset, said the artist. Never heard of the heart sets, health sets, and soul sets man. You will suggested the homeless man, and once you do the way you create, produce, and show up in your world will never be the same. Seriously, revolutionary concept for any empire makers and world builder. And so few business people and other human beings on the planet currently know about them. If they did, every important elements of their lives would increase rapidly. For now, I just wanted to keep jamming on my personal commitment to ultra high quality in everything around me. Your surroundings really do shape your perceptions, your inspirations, and your implementation. Art feeds my soul, great books battleproof my hope, rich conversation magnify my creativity, wonderful music uplift my heart, beautiful sights for fortify my spirit, and all it takes is a single morning filled with positivity to deliver a monumental download of inventive ideas that elevate an entire generation. And I need to say that uplifting humankind is a master sport of business that the top 5% plays. The real purpose of commerce is not only to make your personal fortune. The true reason to be in game is to be helpful to society. My main focus in a business is to serve money, power, and prestige are just the inevitable byproducts that have shown up for me along the way. An old and remarkable friend taught me this way of operating when I was a young man. It totally transformed the state of my prosperity and magnitude of my private freedom. And contrarian, this contrarian business philosophy has dominated my way of doing things ever since. Who knows, maybe I'll introduce my mentor to you sometimes. The vagrant purpose, he studies his large was. Next, he closed his eyes and said these words: own your morning, elevate your life, as if by magic, the fairly small and quite thick piece of white paper appeared in the palm of his outstretched left hand. It was a quite a trick. You would have been exceedingly impressed if you were standing there with these three souls. Here, what the image on the paper looked like. The entrepreneurs and artists both had their mouths open at this point, appearing to be both confused and mesmerized. You two each have hero inside of you. You knew this as a child before adults told you to limit your powers, shackle your genius, and betray the truths of your heart. The homeless man told them, sounding a lot like the spellbinder. Adults are deteriorated children. He went on, when you were much younger, you understood how to live. Staring at stars filled you with delight. Running in a spark made you feel alive. And chasing butterflies flooded you with joy. Oh, how I adore butterflies. Then, as you grew up, you forget how to be human. You forget how to be bold and enthusiastic and loving and wildly alive. Your precious reservoirs of hope faded. Being ordinary became acceptable. The lamp of your creativity, your positivity and your intimacy with your greatness grew dim as you began to worry about fitting in, having more than others, and being popular. Well, here's what I say: participate not in the world of numbered out grown-ups, but that's scarcity, apathy, and limitation. I am inviting you to enter a sacred reality known only to the true masters, great genius, and genuine legends of history, and the discover primal powers within you that you never knew were there. You can create magic in your work and personal lives. I sure have, and I am here to help you to do so. Before the entrepreneur and the artist could utter even word, The homeless man continued his discourse. Oh, I was jamming on the importance of the art and the ecosystem that your life is built within. Makes me think of the awesome word of the prestige writer Fernando Pessoa. Art free us through illusion from the squalor of being, while feeling the wrong and suffering endured by the Hamlet Prince of Denmark, we don't feel our own, which are wild because they are ours and wild because they are wild. Also reminds me of what Vincent van Gogh said. For my part, I know nothing with any certainty, but the sight of stars makes me dream. The homeless man swallowed hard. His eye darted away. He cleared his throat nervously. Guys, I have been through a lot, been knocked down and kicked around a ton of by life. Been sick, been attacked, been abused, been misused. Hey, I am surrounding like a country song. If my gal cheated on me and my dog died, I'd have a hit single. The homeless man laughed, an odd, guttered, guttural circus down on acid sort of laugh. He carried on, anyway, it's all good. Pain in the doorway into deep. Know what I mean? And tragedy in Nietzsche's great purifier. It burns away to fakeness, fear, and arrogance that is of the ego. Return us to our brilliance and genius. If you have the courage to go into that which won't wounds you, suffering yield many rewards, including empathy, originality, relatability, and authenticity. Jones Salk said, I have had dreams and I have had nightmares, but I have conquered my nightmares because of my dreams. The uninvited vagabond added wistfully, he's super weird, incredibly eccentric, but there's something special to him. Admitted the entrepreneur's quality to the artist, removing just a little more of the armor of cynicism that had protected her over her stellar career. What he just said is exactly what I have needed to hear. I get that he looks like he lived in a cardboard box on the street. But listen to his words. Sometimes he speaks like a poet. How could he be so articulate? Where did his depth come from? And who is this old friend? He says has taught him so much. Says taught him so much. He also has a warmth that reminds me of my dad. I still miss him. He was my confidant, my top supporter, and my best friend. I think of my everyday, okay, said the artist of the quirky stranger. You asked me what I liked best from the talk. I def liked the part where the spellbinder talked about the Spartan warrior credo that says, one who sweats more in training, bleed less in war, bleeds less in war. And I liked his line, high victory is made. In those early morning hours when no one's watching and while everyone else is sleeping, his teachings on the value of world class morning routine were great. The entrepreneur glanced down at her device. I have taken some good notes, but I didn't pick up those gems, she said as she captured what she had just heard. We only hear what we are ready to hear, observed the homeless man sagely. All learned mates are exactly where we are at. And as we grow great, we understand better. The voice of the spellbinder suddenly rang out. The homeless man's eyes looked at Hughes at the Taj Mahal. One, one could see he was terrifically surprised to hear that famous tone. He spun around, seeking the source. Quickly, all became clear. The artist was playing his illicit recording from the seminar. Here's the part I like most. To fully answer your questions, brother, he started staring directly into the eyes of the savvy tramp. In the culture of cyber zombies, addicted to distractions and afflicted with interruption, the wisest way to guarantee that you constantly produce mastery level results in the most important areas of your professional and personal life is to install a world class morning routine. Winning starts at your beginning, and your first hours are when heroes are made. Wage our war against weakness and laugh a campaign against fearfulness. You truly can get up early, and so doing so is necessity in your awesome pursuit toward legendary. Take excellent care of front end of your day, and the rest of your day will pretty much take care of itself. Own your morning, elevate your life. Spellbinder could be heard whizzing like a novice swimmer who went too far, too fast. The artist continued, presenting his recording, turning up the volume so sound was blaring. Here's the precious little secret that the titans of industry, the standard performers of artistry, and the ultra achievers of humanity will never share with you. Gargantum results are much less about your inherited genetic and far more about your daily habits. And your morning ritual is by far the most essential one to calibrate and then automate. When we see the icons in action, the forceful seduction sold to us by our civilization is to believe they were always that great, that they were born into their exceptionalism, that they born the fortunate DNA lottery, that their genius was inherited. Yet, truth is that we are watching them in their full blazing glory after years of following a process, one that involved ceaseless hours of practice. When we observe magnificent flares in business, sports, science, and the arts of, we are observing the earned results of monomaniacally monomaniacal concentrations around a single pursuit, astronomical focus on one skill, intensity of sacrifice applied to one aim, unusual level of deep preparation and extreme amounts of solid patience. Remember, every professional was once an armature, and every master started as a beginner. Ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary feats once they have routinized the right habit. The cat is so solid, said the homeless man. He clapped his dirty hands like a kind at a carnival. He checked his watch yet again. Then he began to shuffle his feet while saying his hips forward, then backward. His hands were now waving in the air, and he was snapping his fingers with closed eyes again, sounding like early rappers used to make without their boom boxes emerged from his crackled lips. You would have been astonished to watch him in action. What the hell are you doing? Shouted the artist. Dancing, replied the homeless man, moving gloriously. Keep bringing me this beautiful knowledge. Socrates said, education is kindling of a flame. And Isaac Asimov wrote, self education is, I believe, the only kind of education there is. So keep playing the old guru's words, dude. It's all so gnar. It's also gnarly. The artist resumed the recording. Heavenly, resist all privacy of your mastery from this world, tempting you into distractibility and causing digital dementia. Force your attentions back to Everest of potential achieving for fuller expression and today release all reason that feed any stagnation of your strengths. Start being an imagine, imagines, imaginationalist, one of those rare individuals who lead from the nobility of your future versus via present. Bards of your past, each of us thirst your days filled with my tiny burst of the miraculous. Every one of us wishes to own our pure heroism and step into the unchained exceptionalism. All human beings alive at this moment have a private psychological need to produce masterworks that wow. Life daily admits uncommon away and know that we are somehow spending our hours in way that enriches the lives of others. The poet Thomas Campbell said, "It's a beautiful when you observe. To live in herds we leave behind is not to die. Each of us truly have been built to make history in our own authentic way. For one, this might mean being an excellent coder or a fine teacher who left young minds. For another, this opportunity could mean becoming a tremendous mother or a magnificent manager. To yet another, this good fortune may mean growing a great business or being a fantastic salesperson who serve customers superbly. This chance to be remarked by future generation and lead a life that truly matters is not some platitude. This is, in fact, a truth yet so few of us have discovered and then installed the very mentalities, morning practice, and consistent conditions that will guarantee these results appear for us. We all want to resist our birthright of towering talent, limitless joy, and freedom from fear. But few of us are willing to do very things that would cause our hidden genius to present itself. Strange, right? And it's a very sad. Majority of us have been hypnotized out of the luminosity that is our essence. Most of us in this age spend our most valuable hour being busy, chasing trivial pursuit and artificial amusements while neglecting living a real life. This is a formula for heartbreak at the end. What's the point of spending your best morning and potential productive days climbing mountains that you realize were the wrong ones when you are frail and wrinkled, very sad. That part really resonated with me. Interjected the entrepreneur slightly emotionally. I am definitely addicted to my technology, can't stop checking everything. First thing in the morning and last thing at night. It's draining my concentration. I can hardly focus on the important deliverable my team and I have committed to, and all the noise in my life is taking my energy. It all feels so complicated. I just don't feel I have any time for myself anymore. It's a fairly overwhelming, all the messages and notification and ads and di- divergence and what the spellbinder said. It also so helpful to me as raise my standards as a leader. I have sort of hit a wall. My company has grown faster than I ever expected. I have been more successful than I ever imagined. But there are some things causing me a ton of stress. She looked away and crossed her arms again. I can't tell them what I am really dealing with, thought the entrepreneur. Then she continued, I have had a let to go of people I really liked because I have learned people who fit at one stage of the business life cycle may not work as the firm evolve. That's been hard. They were the right employees for an earlier time, but they don't belong now. And some things are unfolding at my shop that have turned my life upside down, and I don't really want to get into it. It's all just a very shaky time for me. Well, on your point about elevating your leadership game, responded the homeless man. Please remember that the job of the leader is to help disbeliever embrace your vision, the powerless to overcome their weakness, and the hopeless to develop faith. And what you said on letting go of employees you liked but who no longer were fit where your business is now, that's a normal part of growing a business. And it happened because they failed to grow as your enterprise rose. They started costing, they stopped learning, inventing, and making everything they touched better than they found it. And as a result, they stopped being awesome, valuable incubator for your venture. They liked blamed you. They likely blamed you, but they did it to themselves. The uninvited stranger indicated surprising his listeners by the sophistications of his insight of team building and winning in commerce. Oh, exactly, replied the entrepreneur. So we had to leave them behind since they no longer delivered the result we were paying them for. A lot of night I wake up at 2 a.m. soaked in steamy sweat. Maybe it's like what F1 race Mario Andretti said, if everything seems under control, you are not going fast enough. That's how I seem to feel most days. We are blowing fast our key performance indicators so quickly it makes my head spin. New teammates to mentors, new brands to manage, new markets to presence, new suppliers to watch, new products to refine, new investors and shareholders to impress, and a thousands new responsibilities to handle. It really does feel like it's a lot. I have a huge capacity to get big things done, but there's a lot on my shoulders. The entrepreneurs tightened her arms and scrunched her forehead together absent, absent-mindedly, her thin lips pulled together like a sea anis- anemones anemone sitting on the sensing a battle predator, and her eyes suggested she was suffering intensely. And about your points about being addicted to technology, just remember that intelligently used, it advances human progress. Though through using technology wisely, our lives becomes better, our knowledge becomes richer, our wonderful world becomes smaller. It's the misuse of technology that running people minds, damaging their productivity and destroying the very fabric of our society. Your phone is costing you your fortune. You know, if you are playing with it all day long, and what you just and said about all the pressure on you, how fantastic. Pressure is privilege, said tennis legend Jin King. The homeless man said, you get to grow, and sending a person is one of the smartest way to spend a rest of your life. With every challenge comes the gorgeous opportunity to rise into your next level as a leader, performer, and human being. Obstacles are nothing more than the test test designed to measure how seriously you want the towards that your ambitions seek. They show up to determine how willing you are to improve into a kind of person who can hold that amount of success. Failure just growth in the wolf clothing, and pretty much nothing else is important in life as personal expansions. The unfolded of your potential. Tol- Tolstoy wrote, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Become a bigger person, and you will also automatically become a better leader and a great producer. And yes, I agree that growth can be scary, but my mentor once taught me that the part of you that clings to fear must experience a sort of curi- crucifixions, so that the portion of you that deserve high honor undergoes a kind of reincarnation. Those are exact words he shared with me. Freaky and deep pride, said the hobo as he rubbed the holy man weeds he was wearing. He kept going without waiting for an answer. My special teacher also told me that to find your best self, you must lose your weak self, and that only happen though relentless improvement, continuous reflections, and ongoing self exhibitions ex- excavations. If you don't keep rising daily, you will get stuck in your life for the rest of your life. Makes me consider what the journalist Norman Cousins said, the tragedy of life is not death, but what we let die inside of us while we live. The homeless man raised his raspy voice and observed, my special teachers taught me that once we transform the primary relationship with ourselves, we'll find that our relationship with other people, our work, our income, and our impact transform. Most people understand can't stand themselves, so they can never be alone and silent. They need to constantly be in other people to escape their feelings of self hurted our our all their wasted potential, missing the wonders and wisdoms that solitude and quiet bring. Or they watch TV endless, not realizing it's eroding their imagination as well as bankrupting their bank account. My life feels so complicated. I feel so overwhelmed. I don't have any time for myself. The entrepreneur repeated, not sure what happened to my life. Things have just become hard. I understand you, the artist said as he placed an arm over his new friend's shoulders. My intuition tells me that you are going through a lot more than you are sharing, and that's okay. You know, someday life seems so messy that I can't get out of bed. I just lie there. Man, I close my ears and wish to fog in my head would just go away. Even for a day, I can't think straight some of the time. And on those days, my heart has no hope it all in it all at all. It sucks, and a lot of people suck too, man. Too, man. I'm not antisocial, I'm just anti moron. Too many dumb people around these days taking stupid fashion pictures of themselves with poety lips in clothes they can't afford. Hanging with people they don't even like. I'd rather like to throughout thoughtful life, a risky life, a real life. An artist's life drives my crazy how superficial people have become. The artist then punched one first into his other hand. Unyielding creases appears along his jawline and blue vein twists in his thick neck. Sure, I got you, said the homeless man. Life isn't easy, people, though slog a lot of the time. But like John Lennon said, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. He offered kindly, spouting yet another quote from what seemed to be an unlimited supply in his brain. The artist softened instantly, smiling in a way that looked almost sweet. He, he exhaled mightily. He liked what he'd just heard, and the vagrant continued. This climbed up into the rare air of personal and professional masteries that three of us have ob- obviously signed up for is not for the weak. Upgrading your life so you know real joy and the optimizing your skills so you own your field can be unforgettable a lot of the time. I need to be honest, but here's one key things I have learned. The soreness of growth is so much less expensive than the devastating cost of regret. Weird, weird, you learn that question the artist as he scrawled the words into his notebook. Can't tell you yet, the homeless man responded, heightening the mastery of where he had discovered much of his insight. The entrepreneur turned away from the artist and jotted down some of her thoughts into her advice. The homeless man then reached into a pocket of his whole ridden plaid shirt and produced a heavily used in index card. He held it up like a kindergarten student at show and tell. Adewa, a distinguished person gave this to me when I was a lot younger. As I was starting my first company, I was a lot like you cats. dripping with dreams and set to make my marks on the world, hungry to prove myself, aimed to dominate the game. The first fifth 50 years of our lives are lot about seeking legitimacy. We crave social approval. We want our peers to respect us. We hope our neighbors will like us. We buy all sorts of things we really don't need and obsess about making money we really don't enjoy. Totally right, muttered the artist, nodding his head aggressively and shifting his postures noticeably as his deadlocks dangled over his shoulders. The event's venue was now empty. If we have courage to look within, we discover that we do the things because we have a series of holes within us. We falsely believe that materials from the outside will fill what empty within ourselves. Yet it never will. Anywho, when many of us reach the half time point of our lives, we make a right angle turn. We begin to realize that we are not going to live forever and that our days are numbered. And so we connect with our mortality. Big point here. We realize we are going to die. What's truly important comes into much sharper focus. We become more con- contemplative. We start to wonder if we have been true to our talent, loyal to our values, and successful on the terms that feel right to us. And we think about what those we most love will say about us. When we are gone, that's when many of us make a gain shift from the seeking a legitimacy in society to constructing a meaningful legacy. The last 50 years then become a less about me, more about we, less about selfishness, and more about service. We stop adding more things into our lives and begin to subtract and simplify. We learn to savor simple beauty, experiences gratitude for a small miracle, appear appreciate the priceless value of peace of mind. Spending more time cultivate human connections and come to understand that the one who gave the most is victorious. And the what's left of your life then become a phenomenal dedications to loving life itself as well as ministry of kindness to the many, and this become potentially your gateway into the immortality. He is really special, whispered the entrepreneur. I have felt this hopeful, energized, and grounded in months. My father used to help me navigate difficult times. He told the artist ever since he passed away, I don't have anyone to learn one. What happened to him? Quizzed the artist. I'm little fragile right now, even though I feel stronger now than I did when I walked in there this morning. That's for sure. But I'll simply say that he took his own life. Dad was a remarkable man, a tremendously successful business pioneer. He flew airplanes, raced fast cars, and loved superb wine. He was so alive. Then his business partners took everything away from him. Not so different from the horrible scenario I am living right now. Anyway, the shock of his world collapsing pushed him to do what he could never have imagined. He just couldn't see any way out. I guess is the entrepreneurs revealed as her voice broke. You can learn on me, the artist said tenderly. He placed a hand with happy ring on the pink finger onto his heart as he spoke those words, looking both civ- civ- chivalrous, chivalrous and bohemian. The homeless man interrupted the intimate moment the two were sharing. Here, read this. He instructed as he handed over his index card. It all be useful as you both rise to your next performance level. The experience everything that comes with this adventure into human relationship, personal mastery and creating a career of uncommon productivity. In red lettering over papers that had yellowed by the advances of times, it read, all chances is hard at first, messy in middle and gorgeous at the end. That's very good, noted the entrepreneur. A valuable piece of information for me, thank you. The artist then resumed playing his legal copy of Spellbinder presentations. Each one of you carries a quiet genius and triumphant hero within your hearts. Dismiss these are idealistic word of an elderly inspirationalist if you wish. But I am proud to be an idealist. Our world needs more of us, and yet I am also a realist. And here's the truth. Most people on the planet today don't think much of themselves. Unfortunately, they secure their identity by who they are extremely. They evaluate their achievement by what they have collected versus by the character they have cultivated. They compare themselves to orchestrated and fake highlight reels presented by the people they follow. They measure their self worth by their net worth and they get kidnapped by the false thought that because sometimes has never been done yet can't be done, depleting the grand and electrifying possibilities their lives are meant to become. This explains the majority is sinking in the quicksand of uncertainty, boredom, distractions, and complexity. Drama mamas, the homeless man interrupted again. That's what I call men and women. We have got the verses of victimities, executions, all they do is complain about how bad things are for them instead of applying their primal power to make things better. They take instead of give, criticize instead of create, and worry instead of work. Build antibodies to combat any form of average from getting anywhere near your professional days at office and your private life at home. Never be a drama mama. The entrepreneur and artist peeked at each other. They giggled both at the terms of quick quirky stranger was using at the way he had raised an arm and made the fingers of one hand into peace sign as he spoke the words. He just said, if you were standing there with them, you'd think he was weird too. The spellbinder could then he heard speaking following words on the recording with dramatic flair. To be clear, every day for the rest of your life, you will be faced with the chance of showing leadership. Wherever you are, in all that you do, leadership isn't just for global icons, marketplace titans, it's an arena everyone gets to play in. Because leadership is a lot less about having formal little a large office and money in bank, and a lot more about the committing a mastery over all you do and in who you are. It's about resisting the tyranny of the ordinary, refusing to allow negativity of hijack your sense of away and preventing any form of slavery to mediocrity from the infesting your life. Leadership is about making a difference right where you are planted. Real leadership is about sending out brave work that exemplify genius, turn your whole field on its head by its scope, innovation, executions, and is so strangely sublime that it stands the test of time. And never work only for the income, labor for the impact. Make your dominant pursuit and heartfelt release of value that represent an uncommon magic that borders on the poetic. Demonstrate the full on expression of what's possible for a human being to create. Develop the patience to stick with your dedications to absolute world class output. Even if our lifetime you only generate a single masterpiece, to achieve this feat alone will have made your life journey to worthy trek. We were to show a stand out and exceptionalist, the top 5% are a lot less concerned with fame, cash and approval and lot more invested in a pursuit above their weights class within their craft, playing above their pay grade around their talents and creating a kind of productivity that inspires and serves millions. That's often why they make millions. So never mail it in. Always bring it on. The homeless man now had his eyes closed and was down on the floor doing a series of one arm push up. All the while he was chanting, own your morning, elevate your life. The entrepreneurs and the artists shook their heads. One of my favorite book is The Prophet, Muse the Artist. It's one of the best-selling works of poetry ever written. I read that Kahil Gibran carried the manuscript around with him for 4 long years and refined it constantly before giving it to his philosopher just so it was a pure art. I still remember the exact word he spoke when he was interviewed by a journalist about his creative process because he guided me a lot when I'm in the studio. His words keep me reaching for a greater power as an artist. Even though I battle procrastinations a lot, like I said, I am pretty good, but I know I can be great. I could just beat myself, sabotage, and my demons. What did he say? I asked the homeless man, now standing and twiddling with his big watch. Bits of perspiration mindered down his angular face. Here's exactly what he said. Mention the artist. I wanted to be the sure, very sure that every word of it was very best I had to offer. Gnarly replied, the homeless man, that's the standard that the best one always holds themselves to. Abruptly, the spellbinder could be the heard coughing in the audio. His comment that followed seemed to struggle out of him like an unborn child, fiercely reluctant to leave the security of its loving mother, warm and safe warm. Anyone can become an everyday leader by showing up as I am encouraging when it's easy and especially when it's difficult. Starting today, and if you do so, guaranteed victory is in your future. I need to add that there's a not one person alive today who cannot lift their thinking performance, vitality, prosperity, and lifetime happiness magnificently by wiring in a series of profoundly daily rituals and then practicing them until they become your second nature. And this brings me to the single most important principle of my talk. The greatest starting point for winning is your work and making a spellbinded life is joining what I call the 5 a.m. club. How can you ever be a world class if you don't carve out sometimes each morning to make yourself world class? The entrepreneur was now taking notes with a ferocious intensity not previously seen. The artist's faces had a this make me feel strong smile on it. The homeless man burped, then got down to the floor and held a plank, and kind of fitness pros at the gym love to do to build a strong core. You could hear the spellbinder begin to cough even more fiercely. A brutal and sustained and pause followed. The next he uttered these words. Heighteningly he was wheezing audibly. His voice began to quiver like a no voice tell makers on her very first sales call. Rising at 5 a.m. club, 5 a.m. truly is mother of all routines. Joining at 5 a.m. club is to one behavior that rises every other's human behavior. This regimen is ultimate needle mover to turn you into a undefeatable model of possibility. The way you begin your day really does determine the extent of focus, energy, excitement, excellence you bring to it. Each early morning is a page in a story that becomes your legacy. Each new down is a fresh chance to unleash your brilliance, unpresent your potency, and play in the big leagues of iconic results. You have such power within you, and it reveals itself most within the first rays of daybreaks. Please do not allow past pains and present frustrations to dismiss your glory. Stifle your invincibility and choke the unlimited possibilitarians that lurk within the supreme part of you. In a world that seeks to keep you down, build yourself up. In an epoch that wishes you would stay in the dark, step into your light at a time that mesmerize you to forget your gifts, reclaim your genius. Our world requires this of each of us to be champion of our crafts, warriors for our growth and guardians of unconditional love for all of humankind. Display respect and compassion for all others people who occupy this tiny planet, regardless of their creed, color, or castle. Lift them up in a civilization where many get energy tearing others down. Help others sense of marvelous that sleep within them. Show us the virtues we all wish more would practice. Everything I'll say will speak to unspoiled part of you. That side of yourself that was ferociously alive before you were taught to fear, hoard, contract, and distrust. It's your job as a hero of your life, as a creative achiever to set to change the cultures, and as a citizen of Earth to find this dimensions within you. And once done, to spend the rest of your days reconnect with it. Accept this opportunity to human mastery and promise you that synchronicity of success as well as orchestrated magic beyond the boundaries of logic will infuse the remainder of your days, and the larger angle of your grandest potentials will begin to visit you regularly. Actually, the orderly series of seemingly impossible miracle will descend onto your most genuine of dreams, causing the best of them comes true, and you will evolve into one of those rare and great spirits who upgrade the whole world by the simple act of walking amongst us. The conference hall was now dark. The entrepreneur let out a sigh of size of Mexico City. The artist was motionless. The homeless man began to cry. He then stood on chair, raised his arms like a preacher, and boomed these words of Aris playwright George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, the being a force of nature instead of a favorite little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the options that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I have it to my I as I live it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be the thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of a splendid torch which I have got hold of for the moment. I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handling it on the future generation. The homeless man then fell to his knees, kissed his holy beads, and continued to weep. This is the end of chapter 4. We'll continue again with the chapter 5.